Hey! Was that cool, guys? Do I sound like that guy you like? That saxophone YouTuber? Oh, you look like that guy. Do I look like that guy? Let me know. Do I still sound like that guy? Hey! Good afternoon, everybody. Today, I have an interesting item to show you. This mouthpiece is obviously red, and obviously see-through. I don't know how well you can even tell, but you could tell. It's a translucent mouthpiece. Believe it or not, this mouthpiece is a Jody Jazz. Now, because it's see-through, all you can see is my gross spit in there, but I don't know if you can see right here, it actually says Jody Jazz. I literally don't know if I could get that to show up if I had a gun to my head, but this is actually a Jody Jazz mouthpiece. And now some of you gearheads out there are probably thinking, Cameron, you stupid guy, that's a Runyon. I know. I think it's just like the equivalent of a stencil horn, but mouthpiece. So let's get into it though. So the story of how I got this mouthpiece is actually very sweet. I took lessons online with LA saxophonist Eric Croissant, if you've ever seen him live or his Instagram before, but he gave me this mouthpiece when I was taking online lessons with him over COVID, and he was the only teacher before college that I had ever taken lessons with. I think I took lessons with him in my freshman year of high school, or it was like the summer around that time, I want to say. But for my birthday, he surprised me with this gift, the mouthpiece that I had always seen him playing on for baritone on his Instagram and whatnot, and he sounded great, and he gave me this mouthpiece, and I was so surprised. Like, I couldn't believe that he just gave me something so close to him, like something that he cherished so much. But I'm especially happy to have this mouthpiece, although I don't play it as my main piece currently. But he gave me one condition on giving me the mouthpiece, and that would be if I ever stopped playing it, that I would promise not to ever sell the mouthpiece, and that if I did just want to give it up, to give it right back to him because it meant so much. So that means so much to me that it meant so much to him that he would give it to me, because I think he saw like the future in me and my playing, and he decided to give me something that got him through many years of his own. I think because he became a endorsed Sios artist that he began playing on their mouthpieces, and so he didn't have much use for this one other than like memorabilia for himself. But I just thought that was a cool little story. Now let's get into this wacky thing right here. So looking at this interesting Jody Jazz, this has to be one of the earliest models that Jody Jazz ever produced, likely because this is just like a Runyon blank like stencil. Super interesting nonetheless. The mouthpiece is stamped a 7. Don't know what the actual measurement is. I might put it up on the screen if I look it up later. I know that Runyon had weird sizes. I don't think this is the equivalent to a Jody Jazz 7. I think it's a lot smaller of a tip opening. Runyon sizes, if I'm not mistaken, they went up to like really weird numbers. Like, I don't know if they started at 1 and went to like, I swear they went to like 14 or something. Like, you know how mouthpieces typically, I think at the very lowest they might be like a 3-star and go up to like a 10, like a 10-star maximum. I think Runyon had like some weird thing where it was like 1 to 14, let's call it, just for the sake of recording this. No, this is not an Ishimori ligature. Grow up. I bought one of those metal Chinese mouthpieces once, and this is the ligature it came with, and luckily It's a pretty cool lig. The mouthpiece was not cool, it sucked, but this lig was pretty cool, so I kept it, and it fits this Runyon perfectly, which you would notice is a very skinny mouthpiece, and it actually fits just any regular hard rubber alto sax ligature. Preferably, I would get a more flexible ligature, perhaps, or something that form fits a little better, because I did have one of those brass 2-screw ligatures that I put on this, and I kind of had to like squeeze it around the mouthpiece to kind of form it to the shape, because it's not the typical shape of any hard rubber alto mouthpiece. It has its own weird, like, obtuse shape. This reed probably looks normal, just me showing it to you right here, but this is actually a tenor sax reed. And this is not the first time I've heard of this. And Eric, when he gave me the mouthpiece, he mentioned it to me, and he told me what tenor reeds that he would use on this mouthpiece. Apparently this was a thing for the Runyon company, the mouthpiece company, is that a lot of their bari mouthpieces would take tenor reeds. I don't know if this was like supposed to be a moment of engineering genius so that bari players wouldn't have to pay for bari reeds, or if like people that didn't play bari much wouldn't have to buy bari reeds if they, you know, had to play baritone every once in a while. I'm not totally sure, but you could see that this like is pretty much seamless. Like this tenor sax reed totally fits, and it plays. This is a 2.5 Rico reed, and it works. It kind of is weird. You wouldn't pick the reed size, I think, based on what you would pick for tenor sax if you were just moving from tenor sax over and like using the same reeds. This mouthpiece definitely has a very like funky feeling, like even in terms of like your throat and embouchure, and it especially feels different in that way with the tenor sax reed on there. Taking the reed off for a moment, we can look at some of the internals of this mouthpiece, which is kind of funny to say because you can see through this mouthpiece for the most part, which it actually might make it harder for me to show you exactly what I'm talking about. But you could see that the baffle is pretty smooth, no step baffle, but you said, oh, but I want a step baffle? You can take it in and out. This is a removable step baffle that came with the mouthpiece apparently, which I've seen before with Runyons, and this is what Eric told me. He said that he does not use this because it's bad, and it is bad. I've used it before, and the times I have used it, I'm just like, what happened to the mouthpiece? It's just like weird. The mouthpiece can barely play with the step baffle in, but this is how you put it in. There are some letters on there that you cannot see at all, but there are letters right on the bottom here, or the word up, rather. Put it in like this with the up part facing up, and you slide it in there. There you go. There's your step baffle. Pretty crazy. This is what it looks like. That's so crazy you can see through this mouthpiece. But, yep. I just thought I'd make a video on this mouthpiece because I don't use it very much, which I just wished I liked it more. I do also another issue. This isn't really an issue because you could remove it, and I don't use it, but I will do a play test with that in. I'll do one without and one with to see what you guys think about the sound. But Eric told me that with this mouthpiece, I don't know if it was just like the setup or this mouthpiece in general, I don't think these were ever very expensive, although they are rare. That altissimo was very difficult. There is a kind of like stuffy nature to this mouthpiece. It isn't very free blowing on any reeds I've tried out. I think the only reed that I tried out on this mouthpiece that made it the most free blowing was a Rico 2.5 baritone reed, not tenor reed, but I was squeaking like crazy on the baritone reed. But looking in the chamber, it's very round, not much going on, pretty carved out, pretty round. Yeah, there you go. That kind of shows you what the baffle is. It's kind of like a curved baffle thing going on. And then when you get in to the chamber, it's just pretty like carved out and straight up. This mouthpiece, if you want to put it on your cork, I don't know about y'all, but for me, it takes a lot of cork grease to get this thing on there. On pretty much every horn I've played this mouthpiece with, I had to push it in pretty far. So I think that's, and it's just kind of just fits small, despite being like carved out. But yeah, that's where the cork grease is necessary. So now that I got the mouthpiece set up here, I'm gonna do some play testing. First, not with the removable baffle. I'm just gonna do the tenor sax reed and then a baritone reed. They're gonna be different sizes because I don't play tenor, so I don't have a lot of tenor reeds. This is kind of like the only one I have, which I actually use on bass clarinet. I got tenor reeds and I don't ever play the damn tenor saxophone. All right, so that's what we got to work with today. And then after, I'll do non-baffle with the baffle, non-baffle with the baffle, same thing, but just interchanging the baffles. So let's get on with it. This is the 2.5 Rico tenor sax reed. All right, now I got the removable step baffle in there, and this is with the 2.5 Rico tenor sax reed. Before I do the baritone reed, this is what it looks like on the mouthpiece. It doesn't look bad. It is like a little wider than the rails, I think, especially the tip. Yeah, that's what it looks like, but we'll give it a whirl. All right, this is the D'Addario Hemke Bari sax reed. It's in strength 3. All right, removable step baffle in. Now I got the strength 3 baritone reed in there. So I think my thoughts about the baffle are actually different than I initially mentioned. It's not that it can't play with the removable baffle in, but the baffle for some reason creates this really weird airiness, and it's almost like this super airy or like vibratory sound. Not only is it a piece of plastic that you're shoving into your mouthpiece, it's not like something molded or like added or sculpted in. At the end, it has that thin, flappy piece of metal. So I wonder if it's like vibrating in there and kind of creating this weird sound. But for some reason, it also creates this crazy airiness, like I don't know if that'll pick up. I'll listen back to it. But like, I don't know what that is. It's one thing to have an airy sound or like create that for yourself, but not only is it against your will, it's kind of like too much. But yeah, that's what's up with that. In terms of the tenor sax reed versus the baritone sax reed, I would love to hear what you guys thought about it in the comments, if you could even hear any differences in the sound there. I thought there were some differences, some like obvious differences. One of them being that, especially the way it feels when you play it, I think because the baritone sax reed is wider it feels a lot different than the tenor sax reed, of course, which the tenor sax reed, because this mouthpiece must be made for it, it feels more comfortable. The baritone sax reed definitely feels more awkward, but I think it's because it's a little wider than the rails, so it doesn't seal perfectly, and I think that's where a little bit of the squeakiness that I've talked about comes from. Eric had mentioned to me that when he played this mouthpiece, he used 2.5 Java Van Doren reeds for tenor sax. When he gave me the mouthpiece, he actually gave me 1 Java Red, because I think those were the ones that he preferred to play on. And that was the best reed that I've ever played on this mouthpiece. I've never, well, the other reeds that I did try, because I bought that multi-pack of singles for Van Doren reeds in 2.5, and not even the Java Red in that pack played anything close to the one that he gave me. He must have just like bestowed crazy luck and gave me like the perfect reed. And pretty much any other reed, baritone sax or tenor sax, that I've tried on this mouthpiece has just not given the sound that that reed did. So maybe I could try to kind of like revive myself with this mouthpiece and just like purchase a box of Java Reds and see how it goes. But other than that, I just thought I'd make this cool video on this mouthpiece. Eric said that he got it from Sam Ash Music back in the day, which rest in peace to them now, because now they're gone, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, super cool way that this came into my hands. I'm infinitely grateful to Eric and all of that, and I'll definitely keep holding on to it. If he wants it back, I'll totally give it back, because I'm unfortunately not using it. But yeah, I mean, thanks for watching. I'll make more videos like this. I'm not selling this mouthpiece, but I will make videos later on about stuff that I am selling, if you guys would be interested in that. Kind of just like more in-depth than reading an eBay description or something. Plus you just get a better idea of the item I'm selling with a full-on video, I think, anyways. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.